Dominic, how are you today, my man?
Feeling good, mate. It's been a beautiful day out here. Hit the gym. What about yourself? How's France treating you?
Yeah, good, man. I can't wait to leave France. Literally in 3 days. I'll be back in the studio very, very soon. I'm buzzing for it. And you'll go to Japan next week, aren't you?
Japan tomorrow night, yes. So we've never
Tomorrow
been
night
to
to
Japan before.
Japan.
I know, right?
Guys,
It's
let me know
crazy.
in the comments if you've ever been to Japan. I've never been before. It's something that I do want to go and see, though. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh, massively. Yeah, we've got pretty busy itinerary. Obviously, making the most of it. Going for 2 weeks. But yeah, man. My mate's just texted me this morning saying he has missed his coach to France because he was going to fly from France for some weird reason. So he's had to wait in Gatwick for 10 hours for a flight. So good start for the weekend. But yeah,
Easy,
I
man.
hope he gets
Jesus,
there.
2 weeks. That's going to be good, man. Jesus, that'll be good. But then following his return, podcast will be back to normal, ladies and gentlemen. Inside the studio, big things planned. And today, as always, we've still got another episode. We're just making do with these sort of remote podcasts. But nonetheless, still a lot to discuss. And of course, we will start, of course, with Sadiq Khan being exposed. But first, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for more content just like this. Dom, do you want to take us away with this London Mayor story?
Yeah, well, it was really a matter of time, wasn't it, before this man got exposed. He has been at the forefront, categorically denying anything about the grooming gangs happening in London or Greater London. And yet the Express has released a massive hit piece on Sadiq Khan, bringing categorical proof that there has been grooming gangs in London. And not only that, there was 5 police reports that Sadiq Khan had to see, and he'd seen these police reports, and which basically undeniably shows the grooming gangs within London, and then he goes and says they don't exist and they are far-right racist conspiracy theory, as per usual. So the Express dropped an article a couple of hours ago saying that Sadiq Khan has been accused of covering up evidence of grooming gangs in London after an Express investigation. The Mayor of London reads reports of young girls being raped in hotels by groups of men while publicly denying there were any grooming gangs in the capital. The children were also piled with drugs and had their lives threatened, evidence uncovered by the Express and My London shows. Now, the grooming gang whistleblower, a woman called Maggie Oliver, told the Express that the cases followed the same pattern she'd seen with the Greater Manchester police cover-up of the Rochdale scandal. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philip MP accused Khan of being part of the cover-up and called for accountability. Now, what we are seeing in the Asian and Pakistani community is a systemic cover-up of raping young white British girls. This is the biggest scandal in modern European history. I cannot stress this enough. We have politicians at the highest echelons of politics in the UK covering up mass rapes of young girls, and this will put a massive stain on British culture as well as obviously London as well. But I don't see how Sadiq Khan can come back from this. Can you, Dan?
Nah, there's no chance. I mean, look, if it's found out that he did turn a blind eye, and now all of this is being alleged, by the way, at this moment in time. Nothing has been sort of found out. I mean, it's an accusation, right? So it's still alleged at this point. But, you can really tell that there is some sort of cover-up that he's been up to. You remember that? Let's show that clip of Susan Hall, where he pretended at the heat of it that he didn't know what a grooming gang was, despite it being in every single sort of mainstream headline back early last year. And this was his arrogance and this was his attitude towards the grooming gangs. Let's watch this clip quick because it will show everything you need to know. And then we'll then I'll give you my thoughts on Sadiq Khan in this as well. Do we have a watch?
Yep.
I asked you this question last week and you found every which way but not to answer it. Just how many grooming gangs have we got in London?
To avoid any misunderstanding, can she define what she means by that?
Yes, if you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
We know in London there are issues about exploitation of young people, but they're not as defined by the member in her definition of what those types of gangs are.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for
Are you
what's a
saying that?
misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that. These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually have those in London?
Today, I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If she could spell it out, I can answer.
I've just spelt it out. Are you not listening? It's the sort of gangs that groom young girls at a young age for sex. Exactly how much clearer do you want me to be?
Now that clip was prior to all that. I mean, that clip in itself, the negligence and the trying to act as if he didn't know what it was already as bad as it is. He was already turning a blind eye in the public assembly there as well. But now where this news is uncovering that he turned a blind eye for a lot of different times suggests that he is complicit. And my reasoning for this is because it doesn't fit his narrative. So, you know, he's Pakistani. These are predominantly Pakistani people that are doing this and carrying out these heinous acts. And he doesn't want to carry on this sort of division in his mind whatsoever and refuses to throw his own people, so to speak, under the bus and is complicit in covering it up so it doesn't look bad on his own people. He's got an attitude that he thinks that the far right or just British people are the reason for division. He wants to carry on peddling that narrative and will do anything to protect Muslims and protect Pakistani people from coming in the headlines and demonizing them in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's a matter of how they are represented within the media is why he is covering for them. And if Sadiq Khan thinks that negative press of Pakistani men is worse than the actual act of Pakistani men raping young girls, then he needs to get his head checked and be removed from his position of power, because clearly he has some ulterior motive that he is pushing through his position of power as Mayor of London. Now, Chris Philip, who is an MP who is sort of part of this case, said, "It's shameful that the Mayor of London is claiming to have no indication that grooming gangs are operating in London, despite personally responding to reports containing evidence of victims abused by grooming gangs in the city. It is clear that Sadiq Khan is facilitating a cover-up." So this is proof that he's seen and personally responded to cases that obviously involved the grooming of young girls and the sexual exploitation of young girls. So these were 100% shown to him over the last 8 years as his tenure. And yet, for him to reply to Susan Hall saying he doesn't know what grooming gangs are, who is he fooling here? You know, he's playing he's playing a part. You know, he's playing a role as a politician. You know, he can't just claim ignorance on this situation. And you're right, it's complete media cover-up. He doesn't want bad publicity for Pakistanis because he is one, and he knows how they'll be represented in the media. He doesn't want to give the far right, as he says, any more ammunition than what they have. Well, it is not far right to reject the mass raping of young girls. That is, any person with a conscience should reject that. Even people within the Muslim community should be coming out against this massive scandal. And this is what I want to see from the Muslim community, obviously, as well as appropriate repercussions for Sadiq Khan.
Yeah, no, well, this also, yeah, I mean, this is the attitude. I know Sadiq Khan is like almost a separate entity as being the sort of London mayor, but this is the attitude that we're seeing with regard to the stalling of this national inquiry that was announced, back in June, and they haven't, of course, appointed a head of a chair. That's because there's people like Sadiq Khan that are in this party and they're trying to protect the Muslim population and are trying to protect their vote. They don't want to cause any problems within inside their own party. And this is the attitude that we're seeing because they, as a party, were complicit in a cover-up to try and, you know, bring down community tensions, try not to put it on to Pakistani people. But this is the part of the problem. And Sadiq has been knighted, by the way. I don't know how he's been knighted in the first place, but he's been knighted time and time again. And now we're finding out that potentially he turned or allegedly turned a blind eye to all of these accusations of grooming gangs.
Yeah, the fact that he's been knighted, it actually makes me physically sick. How can this man, who has been pretty much, allegedly been proven to be a part of the cover up of this, the probably I would say the biggest scandal in European history, that's happening in the UK right now, modern history. Um, he is a complicit part of it, and yet this man has been knighted. It just shows how sort of woke the system has gone. I don't know what he was knighted for. Every single metric in London has gone progressively worse, including knife crime, muggings, stabbings. I mean, I've been there for a while, when I went back to the UK, and I can physically feel how unsafe it is. Walking around some of the nicest areas in London, and there's people pissing on the side of the road. It's frankly, it's disgusting. The police are completely outnumbered by the gangs. Knife crime is through the roof, and yet this man has the king has the audacity to knight this man. I think it's shameful, really. But
And
it's
yeah,
after you.
no, Carol, mine's a different bit.
I was just going to say, this just goes into the whole Labour conspiracy of wanting to push this down and sort of make sure this doesn't come to light. They rejected the national inquiry of the rape gangs back in January, and yet Baron Casey recommended they proceed with it. So that was confirmed in July, and since then there hasn't been a chair appointed. This is because Labour politicians are complicit in the cover-up. There would be no other reason other than to suggest that they are completely involved in covering this up. And this is just one case of many that I assume is going to come out over the next couple of years.
Yeah, no, that's why they're dragging their heels, because we're going to find out a lot more politicians that were complicit in it, and there's going to be a lot of exposés. And that's what we say, the famous saying is, the turkeys don't vote for Christmas. That's why they were against it. That's why they're dragging their heels this moment in time as well, to try and come up with a sort of contingency plan to try and work things out or try and facilitate another cover-up. But it's all coming out. And Lee Anderson has been very vocal, of course, on the Mayor of London, and said that he has serious questions to answer. There is real credible evidence that grooming gangs exist in London, and for the Mayor to have potentially turned a blind eye to that is utterly shameful. So he's getting a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, from a lot of other MPs, and it's good for them to be calling him out. But we need this to go right to the very top with regard to what did Sadiq Khan know, and what did he turn a blind eye to? Because this could be serious. This could be him ending his premiership as the mayor. It really could.
Yeah, and I think that gives massive opportunity to Ant Middleton, obviously running as an independent, who has already called for the resignation of Sadiq Khan. I'm just going to get his tweet up here, but he explicitly came out saying that he is compromised, and he can't continue within his position in office. And I completely agree with him. I'm not too familiar with the law. Is it possible to have an earlier election if he resigns?
I'm not too sure either. I assume they would have to. If he was to resign or was to be forced out, then I'm sure that they would put someone in there. But did you say Ant Middleton has called for his arrest?
Yeah, his arrest and him resigning as well.
Yeah. Well, again, we have to say the point. It's still alleged at this moment in time. It's just allegations right now. But obviously, we all have a real feeling that, from his attitude as well, that, of course, he had some sort of know-how and did look to turn a blind eye. I mean, history will tell us that is the case. But certainly looking forward to see an actual investigation going into Sadiq Khan and holding him to account as to what he did to cover things up within London.
Yeah, and just one thing on that, I've just looked up. If an elected mayor resigns or dies, a by-election must be held within 35 days of the resignation. So there is an opportunity here to oust Sadiq Khan in his position as London mayor. I think we should absolutely take that responsibility. This man is a stain on our global image and the image of the UK, and specifically the image of London. I don't think he deserves any position of power after this comes out. I want to see more on this. I want to see the survivors come out. There are specific cases here which obviously allege to him knowing about this. I want to see the full force of the law be pushed against this man.
Let's hope that's the case. Now, keeping on the same sort of religion as such, of course, there was news. We didn't discuss it recently, but it's with regard to Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa and the West Midlands Police pandering towards Islam yet again. Now, we've seen some Islamic MPs in the local area basically call for the banning of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, which in the end, they got their own way. Basically, Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are not permitted to attend the game in the Europa League on the 6th of November. And their reasoning for this, the West Midlands Police, was due to not being able to guarantee their safety. So whatever way you look at this, it does seem as though that if you are Jewish, you will not be able to go to a football game. So they've made it sectarianism, and basically Islam is overruling. This is something that the Prime Minister doesn't agree with. This is something that the Prime Minister is trying to overturn as we speak. However, this is just showing what Islam is having an effect on UK politics, that they have now been able to make an area within the United Kingdom a no-Jew zone. Essentially, this is what I'm getting from it.
Yeah, I mean, first it starts with football games, and then they'll soon be ousted from communities. You know, it's a very slippery slope. Banning specific ethnicities or races from attending, football games. You know, football should be enjoyed by all fans, regardless of race, religion, colour, ethnicity, or anything that pertains to any of them. And the fact that they can get away with this and saying that, they've made it a political stance almost to say that they are not welcome in Birmingham. Well, the Pakistanis and Muslims are not welcome in Birmingham if you want to play that game. If they want to play the game of race and religion, we can play that game. The problem here, Dan, is that when they get into positions of power, they use their positions of power to push things like this. And again, it's a stain on British legacy. We are known to be a culture of inclusivity, whether you like it or not. But the fact that we have two different subsections of British culture kind of fighting against each other just brings stress to the whole community. But yeah, I think it's absolutely shameful, regardless of your opinions of Tel Aviv and Israel as a whole. Their fans should be able to enjoy a football game at West Ham. I think it's ridiculous.
Aston Villa, but yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Let Dom off. He's not a football supporter. He doesn't like football that much. But yeah, I mean, the same colours. You got it nearly there. But yeah, Aston Villa. But more to the point, it's this. It's this Ayub Khan going around and actually being able to put a petition together and do this. Even when the sort of Prime Minister, even when sort of politicians around don't agree with it whatsoever, but he's able to override and actually infiltrate the police and be able to make these decisions. It's just craziness. But it also shows Keir Starmer's a lack of control on how the police. Whilst the Prime Minister can't exactly overturn this, like on himself now, he doesn't have the power to overturn this ruling. Funnily enough, the Prime Minister doesn't. He can't sort of control the police in that way. But it is his sort of legislation that the government create that allow them to do this. So yeah, there is a lot of questions to be asked on this one. But my goodness me, it is quite frankly a disgusting state of affairs, and shows that Islam's rise and impact in politics, while small right now, could end up being something to come in the future.
Yeah, I mean, first it'll happen with Jewish communities, and then Christian communities within our own country. They've shown their cards now, and they said that it's a safety issue for Jewish people. Well, why is it a safety issue? It's because of the massive Muslim community within Birmingham. That is the issue here. And they are absolutely, flat out categorically, they do not like Jewish people. And they are bringing sort of world affairs into sporting affairs. I don't really see that.
Politics has no place in football or sports, in my personal opinion.
100%. I disagree with people taking the knee. Just bringing politics into sports in general. It's important to keep these two aspects of reality separated. Otherwise, you get instances like this where young innocent fans can't enjoy watching their team at Aston Villa.
Exactly. It's one of those. the whole Islam conversation as well is taking sort of more sort of twists and turns, so to speak, as well, because obviously following this thing that's happened with regard to Aston Villa, there has been some news come out that actually, do you remember basically Angela Rayner put forward this sort of new Islamophobia thing? And essentially,
Yeah.
what it was a sort of backdoor to blasphemy, blasphemy laws, which would basically demonize and make criticizing a religion, just Islam, as a sort of a criminal offense. And you weren't going to be able to have a serious conversation or ask questions about an ideology under Angela Rayner's proposed sort of bill, if you like. However, that looks like it's going to be having a huge U-turn come to it and actually see this law now be scrapped entirely, which is very, very good.
Yeah, we don't have blasphemy laws in the UK, and we haven't had them for a long time, and that is because you are allowed to criticize religions. That has been a fundamental right that we are given. The fact that Angela Rayner tried to pass this specifically to stop Islamophobia is ridiculous. But there are places in the Western Hemisphere that already have these type of laws. Motion 103 in Canada, they've already brought this through to legislation, and it has been passed, which is an Islamophobia law in Canada. So they already make it illegal to criticize Islam in Canada. Obviously, good luck trying that in the US, because that will frankly never happen. And I'm glad that it's been struck down in the UK. When you remove a citizen's right to criticize a religion, well, that gives scope for that religion to basically move freely without criticism. And if you can't criticize something, then what ends up happening is that they tend to break the law more, and you end up you end up getting jailed for criticizing them more than for them actually breaking the law. I think that's ridiculous.
Also, there was some news as well that Portugal had, of course, banned the burqa this week. Italy are looking to follow suit. And actually, I did a little bit of research into this. And did you know that in sort of 90% Islam-controlled countries like Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, they've also banned the burqa and the face veil. But you bring up the question in the United Kingdom, it's quickly shot down by the Labour government as almost if you're making a super racist claim. It's about fear of safety. We're not talking about the headscarf here. We're talking about the sort of full sort of face veil and burqa we're on about purposefully here. But this is what the questions now that people are trying to put forward. Suella Braverman, of course, coming out over the last sort of 24 hours stating that she wants to see this happen. And there's a lot of support for it to follow in the footsteps of other countries within Europe that have already done it. We've seen quite a lot of countries that have already banned it. Portugal follow suit, Italy are about to, and actually North African countries that are predominantly Islamic that have also banned it. Why are the UK not doing it?
Yeah, it goes into security. I personally think the burqa is a form of oppression of women, not being able to show their skin, especially in sort of Middle Eastern countries where it regularly hits 40, 50 degrees Celsius plus. I sometimes think it's a form of torture, but in terms of countries that have already banned the burqa, France was the first to ban it in 2011. We have Belgium, Austria, Denmark. The Netherlands does have a partial ban that prohibits face covering clothes in public. Bulgaria have it in 2016. Switzerland, a nationwide ban came to effect in 2025. Latvia, and of course, the most recent one, Portugal. This is a massive swing you're seeing in Europe, banning the burqa. So I don't know why the UK thinks we're so different from our European brothers and sisters here. In banning the burqa. I think it comes down to a situation of national security. We see time and time again where men dress up in the burqa as a form of covering their identity and covering their faces. I am completely open for banning all full face coverings in public, especially the kids that ride around on Surons with their ski masks on. I just think it's the only thing you can do with that is commit crimes and obviously have people not be able to identify you. So yeah, I'm obviously completely all for it. And you know, we're seeing a massive swing of events here, obviously within the European continent of countries that are banning it. And you know, I think it can be anything but good. You know, we have to start rejecting the culture that they're trying to impose onto us, and one part of that is the burqa.
I agree, absolutely. Do you reckon there will be a conversation to be had whilst Labour are in power or not?
No, I don't think they will. I think they'll struck it down. You know, they've already you've had people like Rupert Lowe and Lee Anderson already try and suggest it within Parliament, and the groans and moans of the Labour benches, you know, suggest that they're not open to even putting it to a vote. But you know, things like this, I don't know why they don't go to a national vote. You know, because the people of this country should be able to decide the legislation that they live under. Obviously, that is the definition of democracy, right? But these woke politicians have to, you know, bend the knee under Keir Starlin's reign, and if they, you know, if they step out of line, they get the belt.
No, but even if this was put to a vote, it would never be put to a national vote. It would be put to an MP's vote. And those individuals that are representing a constituency or constituent, they don't go to their people and say, wait, what do you all want as a collective? They will just say a vote dependent on their sort of value and what they personally think. So they don't actually speak for their constituents. They would just be like, no, I don't agree with that, and don't want to fall sort of a wrath from their Islamic people and be scapegoated as a racist, so to speak, by doing it. But there is real questions to be had here, and I know these questions have been rumbling on for a long time, but I think you're right. I think a national vote should be put in place, and the British people can decide whether a burqa is banned. Because yeah, it was down to, as you said, a way of putting down women, oppressing women in a way that very much guys that were not confident at all, didn't like the idea of another man even looking at his woman. You know, that just shows you everything that you need to know there. And these same woke Labour MPs are all about women's rights and empowering females, but we're also pandering to a religion that brings down women's rights, and women don't have any rights. So it's that not being able to have that conversation with regard to what Islam is, but also sort of a massive double standard at the way they go about doing things.
Yeah, you know, you look at like historical context of the burqa, for example, the Islamic Revolution of 1979. You know, before the revolution, you know, the women were allowed to roam free within Iran, and the Islamic Revolution came in, and suddenly they imposed mass burqa bans. Mass burqas on women. You know, it is a form of oppression, whether the woke left want to acknowledge it or not. I just think it's hilarious how the left have aligned themselves with this sort of horrible ideology. You know, I see things like gays for Islam, gays for Palestine. You know, if they were gay in any of these countries, they would be stoned to death. And I'm not talking figuratively here.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. They're just like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. They're sort of, their ideologies and what they're a part of, this sort of movement, are completely alien to one another, actually, funnily enough. But they both seem to be on the same side. It's like, yeah, it never really makes sense to me, perfectly honestly.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's one step towards a de-Islamification of the United Kingdom. I want to see halal meat get banned. You know, there's been massive scandals where I think it was Sainsbury's have been selling halal meat without advertising it on the packaging of some of their chicken. You know, for Buddhists, it's absolutely against their religion to eat religiously slaughtered meat. The UK laws suggest, well, the UK laws are very clear in this, is that, you know, the animal needs to be stunned before killing, and that is a fact. But they have religious exemptions. There are a lot of schools, a lot of universities that are converting to halal suppliers, and a lot of people can say, oh, if it's chicken, it's chicken. You know, it doesn't make a difference. Well, it does make a difference, because the lives of these animals are important. You know, we can't just be slicing necks open and letting them bleed out on the floor. I don't think that's very Christian of us, to make animals sort of die in that horrible way. And that is just one of the many things we can do as a society to sort of de-Islamify ourselves. And, you know, if we're a sovereign nation, we should be able to decide these laws and decide this. And if we can't, then obviously the political infestation has gone too far.
Exactly. Keeping on sort of left-wing policies, you've got a segment here on the Green Party and Jeremy Clarkson. Do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, so Jeremy Clarkson has been very vocal within the political space, and he wrote a column recently annihilating Jack Polanski, who is the leader of the Green Party. He says he can't even sort out his own teeth, which I find quite funny. So I'll read the full statement here. He said, "I'm greatly amused by Jack Polanski, who is the newly elected leader of the Green Party. He's constantly banging on about how he's going to sort out the country. I just sit here thinking, mate, you can't even sort out your own teeth." Honestly, it looks like he takes a picture of Shane McGowan to the dentist. Too sure who that is, but turning his attention towards his proposal as the Green Party leader, Mr. Clarkson continued. One of his big plans for fixing our finances is to tax the nation's billionaires an extra 1%. And of course, this message that plays well with his pink-haired fans. But I've done some sums, and I'm not sure his strategy will work very well. He then proceeds to point out that the NHS alone would use up that 1% tax increase on the Britain's 156 billionaires within 12 days. So the NHS budget would quickly consume the extra tax that creates. He then joked and said that they would like to move to Monte Carlo, or they would all move to Monte Carlo or another location once Mr. Polanski would inevitably come knocking for more money. And that is the real key here, you know. Taxing the billionaires and millionaires of our country will all just make them leave. You know, they become global citizens, not citizens of the UK. And at the end of the day, they pick and choose the laws they follow. Now, a lot of them still have their companies in the UK for ease because they have families here, they have businesses here. But if they come for the wealth that they have created, remember, wealth is not earned, it is created by these millionaires and billionaires. And if you come for that wealth, they will just take their business elsewhere. We already saw that with places like Sweden, who had massive tax increases, and it projected to increase their tax revenues by a vast amount. And what happened is they actually had lower taxes for the next year, because all of the high-earning industrial and business-oriented entrepreneurs, they all left the country. So they can't get money that isn't within the country. I think...
Carry on.
I just think Clarkson obviously is hitting a nail on the head right here. He's already said that he might run against Ed Miliband's seat, which I think will be hilarious. I want to see him get involved. I want to see him get his hands dirty.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's very, as he said, he comes out with a lot. He speaks a lot about it. So, yeah, why not? Give it a go. I mean, in Doncaster, yeah, a guy who's actually represents Doncaster, and I'm sure they would, we would vote for Jeremy Clarkson over him. But on that wealth tax, we've said it for time and time again, you can't just you just tax the rich into oblivion. I hate this kind of movement that people do, because it's so easy to move your company. And you're seeing the big exile of millionaires and billionaires now. So if you try and tax them even more, they'll just move the company out. And you can't do that, taxing the creative people. There's other ways and other means as to how to get more money into this country. And, you know, as I said, we can get a Doge-style system and go through with a fine-tooth comb and find out where they're sort of spending recklessly. And then you'll save the money that you would win on taxing the rich in place, and starting with sort of hotels and whatnot as well. So it doesn't work. It never works. And these sort of liberal leaders that come up with these proposals haven't got a clue whatsoever. I did take one point on you, by the way, and our older audience, maybe my age and above, will sort of pull you up on that. You don't know who Shane McGowan is?
No, I don't know who Shane McGowan is.
Do you know the Pogues?
Terrible. No, I'm too young for that, mate.
Do you know Fairy Tale of New York, the Christmas song?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
So Shane
that
MacGowan
guy.
is the lead singer of well, he's dead now, but he was the lead singer of the Pogues, and he's always known for his absolutely humming grill that he had. But yeah, he's that's Shane MacGowan.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, he does not have the nicest smile, does he? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there. It's good songs, man. You need to get onto that. Fairy Tale in New York, good one. Dirty Old Town. For the older viewers, guys, do let us know your favourite Pogue song if you like them in the comments. So yeah, that was a funny one. Funnily enough, because I'm in Paris, and actually I'm only 10-minute walk away from the Louvre. Yesterday, of course, a huge heist happened, and I woke up. I just heard sirens everywhere, and I was thinking, what the heck has gone on? And then I went on my phone and actually seen that the Louvre had actually been robbed. So for those of you that don't know about it, yesterday on Sunday morning, a heist that lasted just 7 minutes by highly organised criminals snatched priceless jewellery, including a necklace and a brooch that once belonged to Napoleon and his wife Josephine. The gang also stole Princess Eugene crown, which is covered in over 1,300 diamonds and 56 emeralds. And however, they did drop the most valuable thing, by the way, which was another crown that they dropped. But essentially, did you see how it happened?
Yeah, they used a cherry picker in the middle of the day. It was like 9:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah. And then you're seeing the images outside of them going up the thing. But there was also a guy, it's almost like a film that you watch on Netflix these days, these heist films. And there was a guy that was dressed as a construction worker that obviously smashed it just in front. People were in there visiting the museum. So yeah, really, really well done in terms of the actual heist itself. Obviously don't condone such behavior, and obviously hope that these individuals that are responsible are found. But my goodness me, it was very, very highly organized.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how they can just, do it in broad daylight, 9:30 in the morning. And they were able to obviously know the layout, know what they wanted to steal. It was kind of like a smash and grab type robbery, which is pretty surprising considering it's not in like bulletproof casing within the Louvre. And they escaped on bikes. Obviously, the police have a lot of leads here. Firstly, the cherry picker was left at the crime scene. So they have a lot of ties to that. Hopefully, they'll be scanning the CCTV and finding out the number plates of the bikes. There's a lot of loose ends that they have to tie up if they want to actually get away with it. But it is something out of a movie, to be honest. I think you're right there. It's just absolutely crazy. But I think that's just a symptom of modern day France, right? These lawless criminals are able to sort of get away with stealing some of the most prized possessions of French history, and they actually dropped and smashed the crown, or one of the most expensive pieces, right, which had over 1,400 individual diamonds encrusted onto it, and they just dropped it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, they left it. I mean, it's being dubbed as the world's or the most high-profile theft since 1911, when the Mona Lisa was actually stolen. But French interior ministers recently admitted that the country's museums are vulnerable following a string of other high-value thefts. And yeah, I can see it. I mean, I was literally there at the Louvre 2 weeks ago. And yeah, so much. I mean, there's so much there, as I said. But yeah, crazy to see what happens. And I do think the Louvre is slightly overrated. I mean, there's a lot of great pieces in there, but everyone's just surrounded by the Mona Lisa, and I don't think that's the most impressive piece in there.
Yeah, it's definitely the most like famous though, right? But at least you had the opportunity to see these priceless artifacts before they got robbed.
Yeah, I suppose I did. They might be on my phone somewhere, a camera or something. But yeah, obviously we're hoping to see what happens. Hopefully, hopefully, of course, they do get found. But you were saying something about the bikes and stuff like that. These guys don't seem like amateurs. I mean, this would be like those films on Netflix and GTA. There'll be like a massive contingency plan, so they get on the initial bikes. Then they would have been on something else. Then they would have swapped into another vehicle. Then they would have swapped elsewhere. I think, honestly, I don't think they will find the jewels. I think, genuinely, what we will see is an auction at some random billionaire in 50 years' time. They find a crown that they found a crown that's dated back to it that obviously been bought on the black market. But I don't see these guys getting caught if they were that highly organised that quickly.
Yeah, they might be caught, but if the possession, I don't think the possessions will be caught, right? They can get rid of them pretty quickly. Most of the time with these types of robberies, they already have buyers lined up. So the first thing they'll do is get rid of the stuff that they've robbed and get them into the hands of the buyers. And then obviously it's up to them in order to avoid the police. But yeah, you might see it in some sheikh's villa in Dubai somewhere in a couple of years. I'm sure people will be keeping that on the low.
Yeah, well, very organised crime. No one hurt by the looks of things as well. Which
just the
could
ego
probably
of the
suggest
French police.
yeah, they've been like left in the thing. I mean, it's as I say, you watch these films on Netflix, they're always quite popular ones, aren't they? They just constantly pop up all the time, but you don't really see them in real time. Actually, it happen in real life. But yeah, this is a sort of throwback to one of those. It's probably planned for absolute months as well. So yeah. Men, keeping in France, you've got something with regard to a French assault on a train.
Yeah, that's right. So I've got a video here about, it was really the reaction of these Brazilian tourists that were on a train in France. One of the tourists was subjected to a very vicious, violent sexual assault on the train. This happened on Wednesday morning. Only really escaped being raped thanks to the intervention of a brave woman who filmed the assailant to scare him off. And the victim was 26 years old. She ended up being alone on the carriage with the Arab attacker. She said, he walked towards me without speaking. I was panicking. I stood up and he pushed me. Still without a word, I tried to escape, but he pulled down my pants. It's clear he was trying to rape me. The attacker attempted to kiss her, biting her on the lip when she refused. He then slapped her, grabbed her buttocks and breasts before choking her to stop her from screaming. So I've got a video here of the aftermath of it. Obviously, you can see the assailant here, so we can have a look at this.
Je vous ai demandé de rester là-bas, vous ne voulez pas rester là-bas. Donc vous restez là-bas. Restez là-bas.
Wow.
Yeah, extremely distressing, obviously crying and noises coming from her. You can tell this was obviously a very distressing attack that happened on her. And obviously, you know, I hate to say it, but usual suspects.
Yeah, usual suspects. And as I keep on saying before in my own personal live streams as well, and I think I've said it on the podcast, if you want to know what the UK is going to be like in the next 5 years, I think France are genuinely 5 years ahead of us. I feel there's no-go zones in France, personally. I feel, it doesn't look French at all anymore. And yeah, there's a certain area that we would recommend you to go. That's the sort of 6th, maybe some of the touristy stuff, and that's where to stay. The 6th district in Paris is okay. But the rest of it, oh my goodness me, it's like, you know, being in Sierra Leone. It's absolutely mental. The actual demographic shift there. It's pretty crazy. And it's not just, of course, about the demographic. I know not easy on the eye as such, but it's more so the occupants of these areas and what they're doing in and around the area. They leave the place like an absolute cesspit. It's an absolute shithole, and it's rife for drugs. It's rife with crime. And yeah, I wouldn't recommend going to Paris personally if I were you, unless you stay in the 6th district, which is very, very expensive.
Yeah, and it's almost like a reverse gentrification. What's happening is that it's white flight. You know, white people and natives are having to leave areas because of the crime and the danger. And because these areas have become sectarian and are, you know, they are holstering a culture that is an opposition to the native culture. It's water and oil. It doesn't mix. And, you know, these people may feel like This is like repercussions of colonialism and etc. Obviously, France was massive colonial power within Africa, which is where a lot of these people come from. But at the end of the day, they're ruining the country. And if you import the third world, well, it quickly becomes a third world, doesn't it?
Yep, 100%. And as I said, France are a little bit ahead of the curve than us. But of course, more things will continue if our country continues to be eroded, and we'll see it in the UK. And speaking about the erosion of our culture, you've got a interview with a migrant outside a hotel that you want us to watch.
Yeah, so this was an interview outside of the Bell Hotel, funny enough. So this man was interviewed by a Martin Gauchi.
Yeah.
So I'll try and get this up.
This dude's on YouTube, guys. Give him a follow. These are independent people. You should really support them. They do a lot of good work for this, exposing and going out of the way, kind of recording this stuff. So yeah, give him a follow and stuff like that as well. By the way, Gauchi Reports is it by the looks of things. Let's have a watch of this quickly.
That's right. We can have a look at this video.
Hey guys, look, we've got one of these migrants. Where have you boys? How long have you been staying at the hotel?
Excuse me, man, my English bad, but can I help you little?
That's all right.
That's okay.
We don't live here. We don't live here because here we don't like this hotel.
You don't like it?
Eat not good, room not good, anything problem, door problem, anything.
What about security? They look after you?
And security not good, man. Anything not good. If I yesterday I got to hotel in the night. I want to food. Okay. I am hungry.
Yeah.
I go to reception. Please, I want a food. I can't give you now. Why? You have kitchen. You have freezer. You have anything.
You have to stay in your room.
What?
They make you stay in your room. Then you have to stay in your room.
No, man.
Okay. What country you come from?
I'm from Syria, man.
Syria.
Yes.
And how long have you been staying here? How many days or weeks?
Here is the Bell Hotel.
Yep.
I think 6 months.
6 months.
Yes. Before, when we in the Phoenix Hotel, very good manager, very good work, very good eat, very good room, anything very good. But here, we don't like here. We with you, but people here not
You want the hotel shut down?
Hmm?
You want the hotel shut down?
No,
Closed?
not understand, man.
Closed? So
Yeah, we want this closed hotel.
where will you go though? Where do you want to go?
Anything, any hotel, but not here. I like here people because people here in the Epping.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Because here people in the Epping, very relaxed, very cute, not speak with any person, and tree and anything. Relax, Epping. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
The other residents, the other people in the hotel, are they okay? Or do you have many problems with the other residents?
Yes, I speak with manager yesterday. I tell you now.
Yep.
Yeah. Yesterday I want food. He tell me I don't give you. I am hungry. I go to kitchen. I take food. Take food. Come to me for security. Why? I am hungry. Why come to me?
Mm-hmm. Any fighting? Any
not fighting. Not fighting. He can't fighting. If he gave me fighting, I give you 2 fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the man who went to prison? Did you ever meet him?
Not
But
understand.
the man who went to prison,
Not understand.
the
Jail.
the man who went to jail.
No,
No, the police the man got arrested out of
Yes,
the hotel.
no problem. Yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday, when I come to welfare, I want food. He sleep. He come here for work, not come for sleep. You manager, you understand?
Yeah.
I come to. I want food. Tick tick tick. Oh, what do you want? He sleep. He come here not for work. He come to here for sleep, man.
Do you work? Are you
No, I
working?
don't have work. I can't because I don't have ID.
How do you get
Okay.
money?
Hmm?
How do you get money?
How did I get money? My family here. He helped me.
Why didn't you claim asylum through family?
Not my family, dad and my mom here. My family in the city, but my cousin, you understand me? He
Your cousin
helped me.
stays here. Your cousin lives here. How did you come to the UK? Did you come on boat or did you come on plane? Did you come on coach? What did how? How did you get from Syria to the UK? From Calais?
Yeah, Cali, yes.
Calais on the boat. On the boats. Small,
Boat, yes.
small boat, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. How was that? Was that dangerous?
Not understand danger.
Dangerous, was it scary? Bad? Bad or good?
In the Cali, in the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Before when I come to here, little خلاص, I am. You understand me? Not
What-
good, not good.
What, in France? No good in France?
France, I'm waiting. I live in France one day. Not I see.
So, how did you get from Syria? Syria to...
Because my from big problem, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, before Bashar Assad, big problem, and now Ahmed Shara. We don't know what happened in the Syria. I speak with my family. Not come here. Any problem today? Any person he have Kalashnikov. He have. You see in the TV only. Not see what happened in my country. You understand me now?
Interesting.
I think it reeks of entitlement, to be honest.
It does, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very, very interesting. I mean, he's complaining about his 3 meals a day. He's complaining about the room that he's staying in and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, who does he think he is?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's been given a path to asylum, obviously entered the country illegally, has family in the UK that he admitted to helping him financially. I've seen reports of him, people like this getting £8 a day or something like that, or £8 a week for food. But regardless, you know, they get 3 meals a day and a bed. It's more than a lot of veterans get. Yeah, I think it completely reeks of entitlement here. You know, who does this guy think he is? And, you know, the thing is, he sees no problem with this. He sees no problem with complaining that the doors aren't working and he can't get food at 12 o'clock at night when the security are sleeping. But he sees no problem with his presence at all. And that is the real issue here. You know, we are the land of milk and honey in the UK. And we are so generous to these people that, frankly, do not have any regard to how much we are giving them.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's an absolute disgrace when you put it that way and when you look at it that way. You know, I've been under the way of saying that the guy should be in a detention center, not in a hotel. He would be complaining if he was in a detention center, just laying on the floor on a roll mat and getting given rations until he gets sent home again. This guy's thinking, you know, oh, the room's not nice, the door don't work, I can't get food at 12 o'clock at night. Oh, I'm allowed to walk around the streets, I can do whatever I want, but life's still so bad because I'm not getting any more handouts. You know, Mohammed that's staying in the London hotel, he's getting a better apartment than me. He gets better meals, the food's better there, complaining about his thing. You know, he shouldn't be here in the first place and still complaining.
I think I've got a violin here for him, actually. I might start playing that for him.
Good, mate.
It's ridiculous. You know, he's saying that he wants this hotel shut down and like, he is with you, I'm with you. Yeah, but where else are you going to go, mate? You know, they're going to take over the fucking Hilton next. Take over Carden Park in Cheshire. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. You've got a video here of some Asians. Sorry, Asians. But yeah, that's what it's dubbed under on X. What is it? A group of South Asians are involved in a car crash. They speed off only to crash and roll the car. They escape through the windows and run away. Should we have a watch of this video?
Absolutely, yep. Just give me a second here. Yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah, so they wanted to get away with it, channeling the inner HS Tiki Toki. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, he's I mean, firstly, those rags that he's wearing are a bit weird, aren't they? But yeah, I mean, look, what's their thing here? They crashed the car and then they're running away from the scene. They've obviously
Yeah,
at
that's
fault
right.
with something. They're obviously doing something. They don't want to get charged. They want to do anything. And now they just decided to leave the wreckage there and just dip.
Yeah, so obviously they got into a excuse me, they got into a car crash, tried to escape the scene, and somehow managed to roll their car on a flat road. That's quite impressive, you know. I've never really understood how people can roll their cars like that. And obviously trying to hide their faces and escape the scene. Well, it's just it's obnoxious, isn't it? You know, trying to flee the law. One of them said, "Oh, he's going to stay." Well, you're going to have to fucking stay, mate. You know, your car's upside down in bits. I don't think that's an option for you to go. And obviously, if it's his car, you know, it takes about 30 seconds for the police to figure out that it's yours. So yeah, good luck with your insurance premiums going forward, mate.
Yeah, what a bell end. What an absolute bell end. Going on to some more techie stuff. I know you like to talk about tech. What have you got for us today?
Well, so I've got a couple of things I wanted to cover. This is coming out of the US, obviously, because the UK does not produce anything noteworthy of tech. But Anduril Industries have got a brand new helmet. It's called Eagle Eye. Now, I watched his Joe Rogan interview. I think the guy's an absolute legend. One of the biggest, I think he's arguably the best augmentation of virtual reality creator in the world. He is the guy behind the Oculus Rift. Now, he was building VR headsets in his garage at 14 years old. He was creating prototypes that were the best on the market super early in his teenage career or his teenage years. He obviously created Oculus that sold to Meta for a couple of billion. And he actually got ousted from Meta because he donated $9,000 to an advertising campaign that was anti-Hillary Clinton. Now, this was in 2016 at the height of the Trump derangement syndrome and obviously the wokeness that took over Western society. So yeah, he got completely ousted from Meta and from the CEO position in Oculus. Since then, he created a company called Anduril. Now, Anduril really is the pioneer in military defense technology. You know, they have a swath of drones, AI autonomous jets, and this is their brand new creation called Eagle Eye. Now, Eagle Eye enhances the warfighter's perception by overlaying digital information onto the real world. So we can take a look at this video here, which puts it in demonstration.
One Tango West container in the open. Bravo, move out and engage. Tango down. Moving on Tango.
So that is real life X-ray vision.
That's loud.
So
Mad.
yeah, so one of the key parts of this technology is that they are able to integrate all vision from drones, from other people's headsets as well, into everyone's display. So if you see an enemy, that means everyone else then sees that enemy. And I don't know if you noticed in the video, the bottom right of the video, they had a drone view that they could see. That was giving the real-time updates of where the enemies are. Obviously gave them the exact pinpoint location through the containers. But it even goes a step further. So they have these noise-cancelling bulletproof headsets that cover their ears. But they actually have like noise cancelling in specific locations. So, for example, if you wanted to just hear the sound from where the enemy was directly in front of you, it would cancel out all noise around you and only give you the sound from that specific location. This is absolutely groundbreaking stuff. I know Palmer Luckey, who's the CEO, is an absolute visionary. He's only like 27, 28 as well. Massive person within the military defense space. But yeah, I think this was really cool. Obviously, I love to see stuff like this. And yeah, hopefully we can get the UK can get some hands on some of them headsets soon.
There's something like that straight out of a video game or something like that. But yeah, really cool. I mean, I loved how I know, like, from being in the military myself, that's just mental. It really is. It's kind of a scary time that we're in actually right now. And yeah, you wouldn't want to be on the enemy with those headsets in.
No.
That's pretty mad. And the actual helmet itself looks like it's got like cat ears. I'm seeing like a post underneath saying, imagine being a cartel member getting smoked by a Navy SEAL in cat ears. Absolutely wrecked.
Yeah, it's literally like a HUD of a video game. Like if any of our viewers have ever played Call of Duty, it's the exact same thing. And one of the things that he highlighted on his Joe Rogan Experience podcast is that there are augmented glasses that are connected to this whole sort of Anduril AI system. And they have a lens on there. Now, they know for a fact that China has lasers that are intended to blind people in warfare. So the whole point of it is to shine a laser at the opposition and permanently blind them. So they have these covers of the glasses, and they can tune change and tune the cover of the glasses in order to stop the lasers coming into the eyes, obviously to keep the vision. And they're just like pop on, pop off, they're like magnets. So if they change the frequency of the laser, they can change the frequency of the glasses. And it's this type of stuff that's really cool, right? This is like 2025 warfare. It's drones, it's AI, it's augmented reality, it's seeing through walls. They have lasers on their guns that aren't visible and only visible through the optics, so you know exactly where your gun is pointing and shooting. It's this type of stuff that's really going to change warfare in the coming future.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. More on the tech stuff. You got something from SpaceX as well?
Of course, yeah. This is a couple days old now, but SpaceX obviously had a very successful Starship 2 booster flight. And this is the final flight. This is flight 11. And this is the final flight of the version 2 variation of Starship. I am a massive space nerd. That is my jam. I've been following this stuff for literally years. I've watched pretty much all of the launches. And what Elon Musk is doing with SpaceX is completely revolutionizing the space industry, making a 100% reusable rocket. This has been the crux of space travel, having to throw away 90% of your rocket every single launch. That's why the cost of the previous government-funded NASA launches are upwards of billions of pounds per launch. And SpaceX is aiming to get that down to only just the price of the fuel, which is absolutely revolutionary. So I've got a video here of the Starship coming in for launch, but also the key thing here is it's hovering. It's coming from space, tens of thousands of kilometers an hour, and it's flipped, turned the rockets on, and is hovering in this ocean. So we can have a look at this video here.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely wild. Now, Dan, let me ask you a question. Would you ride a Starship from Singapore to London if it can get you there in half an hour?
Yeah. Well, I think I've seen the plans that they want to do that, of course, instead of change the way of like aviation by going up rather than going across, which would save a lot of time. But it's just the question on how much it would be. But if he's getting to a point where it's going to be, convenient for others, then I don't suppose why it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Obviously, if they pass all the tests and are able to facilitate manned flights of the Starship, which I think they are with version 3. They have massive improvements in the technology with the V3 Raptor engine. They've shaved nearly 30% of the weight there while increasing power by about 20%. Obviously, the more weight that they shed off the rocket, the more space they have for passengers and obviously cargo to Mars eventually. But hey, I would be the first person on that flight. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And if I can get from London to Singapore in half an hour, holy moly, that would save me so much time.
Well, we've had that conversation with someone the other day there that actually, like, aviation, if you think about it, hasn't really evolved in the last sort of 60 years. Yes, the sort of, the insides of interior of planes have changed and the way we sort of travel, but the timings as such haven't really changed that drastically when you think about when it was invented until now. Obviously safety ratings have gone a lot higher. Yes, there's a lot more with regard to, technology with the planes that make it a lot more safer over the years. But in terms of the actual length of time as such, from the sort of 70s, it hasn't really, really evolved that much if you're looking at other industries that have evolved significantly.
Yeah, it's been sort of caught in the past in terms of like the classical structure of a plane. They might get a little bit more fuel efficiency with some improvements in the engines, but yeah, 100%. We've not had any real leaps or sort of industry-changing products in the aerospace industry since the Concorde, which obviously it was grounded. Obviously, ended up being a failure. I feel like we were heading in the right direction with the Concorde. The issue there is that obviously the sonic booms were smashing windows near airports and things like that. And the whole plane industry really does need revitalizing. You have people like Boom Aerospace who are trying to make a Concorde V2, which is like 40% bigger. It's London to New York in like 3 hours, but really you're going to get the most leaps by taking a rocket to your location, right? What I'm thinking is there's going to have to be sort of health and safety, sort of like health requirements in order to ride a rocket, because you're going to be open to massive amounts of G-force, especially on the entry into space. 5-6 G sustained. You're going to have to be very comfortable sitting in that G-force. So this won't be for everyone. You're going to have to be very fit and healthy to ride this rocket. So I'll get in the gym and make sure I'm healthy enough to do it. But yeah, I think this is just the future. This is what we want to see. This is why I like Elon Musk. He's really bringing like a lot of hope for the future with his companies. And this is what I want to see.
And our government are trying to alienate him and get rid of him. Oh, he doesn't really care too much, I suppose. Well, he does. There's a big market, but you just got him, alienating the Labour government of dinosaurs and don't want to have anything to do with them.
Yeah, they're trying to get him on inciting violence on the streets because he spoke at the Tommy Robinson march.
And because he paid, no, they're launching an investigation because he paid for Tommy's trial the other week there.
Yeah. You know what? George Soros has been doing that, funding, the left and for years and years, and creating massive amounts of disruption within the legislation and the sort of lower branches of government and the law within the US. But as soon as Elon Musk does it, it's a problem.
Yeah, hypocrites. Mate, that's it unless you've got anything else.
Yep, that's everything, guys. Make sure to smash that follow, subscribe button down below. We are nearly hitting 20,000 subscribers. We need to get there as soon as possible. So if you guys have enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that follow button below. And give us a like as well.
Yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Take care. See you soon. Peace.
Peace.